Hello, welcome to the Hummingbird Model Products balsa stripper assembly video. This just shows you how I assemble these strippers so that you can disassemble yours to clean it or to change blades. Here is an assembled stripper. I have a video showing how to use this. What you see here, this is the new version, so it has a brass knob instead of two knobs. It has stainless steel set pins here, or split pins, to hold it all together. And it has this little laser cut slot here where the tip of the number 11 scalpel blade seats. That's nice because it makes changing blades very much easier than the original. The original you could still change blades, but it was a bit more tricky. So I'm going to show you how I assemble these, and that will hopefully allow you to make easy maintenance disassemblies and blade changes and so on and so forth. I should add here that I rarely ever change the blades. I've got Jim Jones style balsa strippers from years back that are sort of on the order of 20, 25 years old. And those strippers, to be honest, I've never changed the blade. And that's mainly because I'm only building a couple of models a year using very soft, lightweight balsa, and so there's just no need. I've never felt that they're not cutting nicely. If you're doing a heck of a lot of balsa stripping, you may need to change the blades maybe once a year, once every few years. And that's very easy. You just get these number 11 scalpels, buy them online. For like 20 bucks, you can get 100 blades, last you for the rest of your life, last your children for the rest of their lives, breaking them and setting them into the stripper is easy. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so assembly. There's the base plate, which is the bottom. It's 8 mil thick. There's the mid plate, which sets the thickness. That's with this little tab here that goes in the middle. Those are like 4.5 mil. Top plate, also 4.5 mil. There's really only one way to assemble this correctly. If you get it wrong, nothing's going to go together right. So you can see that these larger holes on the bottom all take these split pins. So this sets on here like this, and this goes on top. If I flip this over, which I did in a failed version of this video, you can see that this slider plate is not aligned with those holes, right? Which means that if I try to put this in here, it's not going to work. And so I'd have to take it apart, which I did, and start again, which is what I'm doing here. So here I'm going to go ahead, put this top plate on, make sure that the holes here are aligned with the holes in the base plate, right? Again, if I have it the wrong way, you see that the holes do not align. So make sure those guys are set correctly. Put this guy in here so it doesn't slide all over the place. And it's a little bit tricky to get all those holes nicely aligned, so you can drop these pins right in. I just press them in. They fit in. You might have to tap these in with a hammer because I've already disassembled this once. Actually, I'm going to end up tapping it with a hammer. Just make sure I get that aligned there. There you go. Laser cut holes are slightly conical because the laser the focus of the laser changes with depth. So this is true of balsa wood as well. You're never getting a perfectly square cut between the surface of the balsa or the acrylic and the actual cut plane. They're at a very slight angle. That's true of these holes. The holes actually get narrow with depth, and so these pins go into the top very easily, but they tighten up as I push them deeper. Okay. So to get them out, you're probably going to have to hit them with a pin of some kind. You take an old bolt or a piece of dowel, something like that, and just tap them out. Okay, they're not too hard to get out. Okay, so the next step is to put these guys in. So these are 8 by 36 standard threads, North American style threads. Oop, I see now. This one you want to make just tight enough so that you can slide the slider fairly smoothly. A little bit too tight. Still a little bit too tight. There we go. That's nice. It's got a little bit of friction, but it's got a smooth action. Actually, I might loosen slightly some more. There we go. That's perfect. And this is the one that we use to actually tighten the stripper. So this locks the plate down. So plate's locked. Undo it. Plate slides. Okay. All right. Good. So that's pretty much done that. Last part is to prepare the blade. So I usually break it out so that I can see the blade tip like this, holding with the plastic so I don't cut myself or anything. I take a pair of pliers and I want to cut this, I want to break this off so that the blade can go in at an angle. So I try to break it off so that there's an angle on the blade itself, something like that. And voila. Very easy. These are very brittle, hard steel, so they break off at an angle. And then this part is quite easy. All you do is you take this broken blade, you set the tip in the little slot. You can see the little slot there. Tip is in the slot. And then I like to sort of set that at an angle and press it with a screwdriver just to seat the blade nice and tight in the slot. Make sure that the edge of the blade isn't overlapping with this hole because you're going to put a bolt in that hole in a sec. So next step, this is the blade clamp. So I just drop that on top of there. Bolt. And another bolt. These are the same as the same threads as the bolt used up here. So it's all standardized, pretty simple. If you lose one of these, just go to the hardware store and pick up a new one, and Bob's your uncle. Okay. You've probably got them sitting in your garage, your store of random bolts and nuts and so on. You've almost certainly got something along these lines if you lose them. Okay. I get these fairly tight. I mean, I don't really go crazy with the tightness, but I get them so that I can't easily turn my screwdriver anymore. They're locked in there nice and tight. And so that's clamped the blade into place. Okay, so the blade's in there now. The last step is to set this leaf spring. I make these myself, so I try to make sure that when I make them, you can see that it's curved. So this edge here is going to run against the balsa. And so I try to make sure that I've polished those off and they're nice and smooth. It's not going to grab or cut, damage your balsa. If you discover that you've got burrs or anything on there, just take some sandpaper and smooth it off. The next step is to slide this cotter pin onto the leaf spring like this. You'll find that when I ship it to you, I've actually flattened that so that it grabs tight against the spring. And I will usually kink the end of the pin so that it's going to grab inside the hole that it slots into in the stripper. It just helps it all stay nice and firm and tight. Okay. Oh, let's bend the little thing a little bit there. There we go. And so now you've got a leaf spring set in the stripper so that you can pass wood through it. And so if I want to strip some wood here, I have a whole video for this, so I'm not going to go into any detail here. But so this is 1/8 sheet. I'm going to strip some 1/8 by 1/16. Just run this through and voila, 1/8 by 1/16. Do a quick check to see thickness. Yeah, just over. This particular piece has been compressed a bit, so yeah, it's like 1.6 mil, 1.59. You know, the accuracy on these is sort of on the order of 1/10 of a millimeter. So 1.59, 1.65, 1.55 is about the level of precision you can expect. Partly because the wood itself gets compressed. The blade is compressing the wood as it's being cut. So you can't expect perfection from balsa. It's a spongy, flexible material. Okay, so that is basically the assembly of the balsa stripper. For a blade change, you don't need to do all of the pins and everything. You leave all of this alone. All you do is you undo these two bolts, pop that clamp off. Of course, you'll pull the leaf spring out first. Undo these two bolts, pop that off, knock off the sharp, used, worn out blade, toss it in the trash, grab your new blade, break it off as I showed you, seat the tip in that little slot, push it in with a screwdriver to make sure it's in there nice and tight, clamp back on, leaf spring back into place. Oops, mine just popped off the cotter pin here. There we go. And voila, ready to go. Okay, so thanks for watching. Hope this helps. Have any questions or comments, please feel free to let me know. Thank you very much.